The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Outside Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Friction is heat. You know, you take an engine where the lifter goes up and down, pushes the valve up and down, it really gets hot right there. That's where oil breaks down and where we have failures. AMSOIL, on the other hand, it's a true synthetic lubricant. It's just idling right there. It doesn't even know it's being used. In other words, 300 degrees is ho-hum to AMSOIL.
Hello and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, otherwise known as Mosport, for round 17 of a 2015 ASRS AMSOIL Truck Series and the second round in the chase for the championship, live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I am Samuel Ryman and alongside me is Erton Ellis, behind the scenes is our director Joe Peake, and our camera sets are brought to you today by Dougie Beard. We arrive at Mosport today with heavy hearts after two tragedies that took place earlier this week. All of us at GSRC would like to pass on our condolences to the families of Alison Parker and Adam Ward, who were killed today during a news report in Virginia. Alison was a classmate of mine from my college days at James Madison University, and it was a pleasure to have known her. We also wish to send our thoughts to the family of Justin Wilson, who lost his life in an IndyCar crash last weekend at Pocono Raceway. Justin was 37. The IndyCar Series finale will go ahead at Sonoma Raceway this weekend, where a champion will be crowned. And while a champion may not be crowned here tonight at Mosport in the American Sim Racing Series, this twisty road course could certainly turn things up in the ASRS Championship heading into Chicagoland, Erton.
Thanks, Sam. Well, Mosport is probably one of my favorite tracks that these trucks are coming to in this series, but I'm a little biased since I'm a road driver. But it's definitely a fantastic track, about 2.5 miles long or 4 kilometers, and it has quite a lot of elevation changes. It's a very twisty track, as you said, and a lot of fast corners, so these trucks are very fun to drive around here as well. And they're also limited to 75% fuel, so they might have to make at least one stop throughout the race and probably pop some tires on those trucks as well to help you go around the track faster and cleaner as well. And also, these guys are in a fixed setup, so they're all driving pretty much the same truck, so it's definitely going to be interesting. The setup is pretty loose on the exit of the corner, so you can get a little squirrely, and some of these guys might have little instant throughout the race, but otherwise it's very fun combination, the trucks and Mosport, so it should definitely be a good race. We have a lap guide for the viewers to see what it's like to drive around the track.
Alright, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC Silverado, so let's do a lap around Mosport. Coming up to turn 1, you'll hear Kevin hit the limiter simply because it's quicker to stay in second than to have to shift twice. Be careful on the exit not to dip a wheel into the grass because it can send you spinning to the inside wall in a hurry. Next is turn 2, very blind double apexer. You want to be easy on the brakes on the way in, otherwise you'll turn the car around over the crest. Once you hit the bottom, we switch back to the left to set up for 3. This corner is unusual because it has a late apex, but it really opens up on the exit. Don't worry too much if you have trouble putting the power down though, because there isn't much of a chance to pass afterwards. You'll see why as we plunge down the hill through 4, where you'll want to balance the car on the throttle. Up ahead, there's heavy braking from Moss Corner. You gotta remember that the compression at the bottom of the hill means you can really get the anchors out late. Make sure and clip both apexes, but be careful not to clobber the curbs because you're going to need every inch of traction. From there, straighten out the exit to the backstretch as much as you can, or else risk wheel spins sending you sideways. As we make the long climb up the Andretti Straight, you'll attack it just like before. Straighten out the kinks with as little steering as possible. Now, for 8, once you get it slowed over the crest, you'll turn in a lot sooner than you'd think. The start of the S's is a long one that can be taken with 2 apexes. Plus, you really want to hold right at the exit to set up for 9. The corners are going to get progressively slower now, culminating at 10. Once again, be tidy at the apex with that curb on the final corner to keep the wheels planted. Finally, accelerate to the start-finish line and complete a lap around Mosport.
And that was a lap around Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. They will do 32 of those today, and 20 of them before a competition caution. Road course racing does not throw cautions, and I don't believe they did any cautions here last year, but at lap 20 with 12 laps left to go, the organisers are going to throw a competition caution during this race to give us about an 8-lap shootout at the end there, Ayrton, which could certainly, as we mentioned earlier, turn up a championship a little bit.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Definitely make things a little bit tighter, especially if someone gets an early lead throughout the race, though it also means that that first half of the race may not be as important, so it might be better to stay clean for the first half.
Now, we mentioned that these guys raced here last year, and the winner here last year was Tommy Ryan in the number 16 truck. He is currently 4th in qualifying, which is going on right now. They're about halfway through qualifying. There is Tommy Ryan going through turn 2, Clayton right now. I think that's turn 2. Yes, it is. All right, I'm learning this track better than I thought. And now he's going over to Quebec to turn 3. As we mentioned, right now sitting 4th on the board with Justin Fuller, James Kahula and Michael Krobach in front of him. This is round 2 of a 10-race chase that's going on right now, and you can see by the red trim on Tommy's truck that he is one of the 12 drivers currently in chase contention. The one leading them all right now is Gary Whitson ahead of Ty Hester, and you can see how close the points are there, with the top 5 covered by 12 points. The top 10, in fact, are covered by 22 points. Really, the only driver in the chase who is out of contention is Dan Murray, as there you see drivers 6 through 10 right there. The 2 drivers in the chase not appearing on your screen are Ricky Hardin in 11th and Dan Murray in 12th. Dan Murray, because these drivers get penalty points for each race that they don't show up during the regular season, Ayrton, unfortunately Dan wasn't able to make most of the races, so he is 63 points back already.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough for him to get back up there. And we also have a lot of drivers in the race that aren't actually in the chase. Of course, there's only 12 drivers in the chase. We have 30 drivers here today, so a lot of fast guys. Justin Fuller, he's on top of the qualifying right now. He wasn't able to make it into the chase before the end of the season, but he's definitely a very fast driver, and he's said all season about how he's looking forward to this road race.
Now, one thing that could throw these drivers a bit of a curveball today, Ayrton, other than the fact that it's the only road course on the schedule, is the track temperature. It is currently 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That's quite warm, and that means these trucks could slide around a bit in the corners. There is an incident limit cap during this race, 25. iRacing system, if you run off course, you get 1 incident point. If you spin around or hit something slightly, you get 2. If you have a crash with another car, you get 4 incident points. If they tally up to 25, which granted is a bit high, these drivers could be disqualified, so they're certainly going to want to try and keep it on the grey stuff today.
Oh yeah, for sure, and in these trucks it's very easy to get a little too far on the exit of the corners and skim that grass, so those will probably add up. You'll probably have to get some contact to actually get 25, but some guys might get close to that.
We are currently watching the number 56 truck navigate his way around this field, and the reason why we're doing that is because he is our one of our newer drivers in this race, and that is Norman Pelletier III, and I apologise in advance for butchering that name. He's currently not doing too hot in qualifying. He's down there in 21st right now. But hot lapping might not necessarily be the key to winning here today, Ayrton. As you mentioned, this competition caution could certainly mean that maybe you don't want to burn your tyres off in those first 20 laps. Maybe it's consistency that's going to win this race. Just keeping the truck on the track, running solid laps, and then all of a sudden you might find yourself with, at the worst, a top 10 finish at the end of the day.
Yeah, and these guys are also going to have to do at least 1 pit stop throughout the race as well, so maybe just making it through that one first pit stop window might be the best choice, and just keeping it clean for that. And I mean, from me, when I was driving, it's definitely difficult to keep that car straight on the road for sure.
Now, you bring an interesting point up there, Ayrton, that road courses, the strategy is usually to try and make as early of a stop as possible, so that if a caution comes out, when everyone else pits under the pace car, you get to cycle back up to the front. Well, we know that there's going to be 1 caution, and it's going to come out at around lap 20, as Jeffrey Gilliam goes for spinning his number 61 truck there. And what that means is that you're definitely going to want to do your stop early as possible, so that when the caution comes out on lap 20, you don't come down pit road, and you can be up front for those closing stages.
Yeah, it's definitely a possible strategy, but I get the feeling that a lot of people are probably going to wait for that that lap 20 caution and just pit as a group. But of course, there's also the guys that will try to fit that strategy in and try to get that jump. You would have to keep pretty close behind and not lose too much time from that with that strategy as well.
Now we're watching Alec Marshall, who is actually relatively new to iRacing. He only got it about a month ago or so, as a checkered flag is currently waving on the qualifying session, but everyone will get a chance to complete their lap. Alec is actually coming around to complete his here. He currently sits 18th. Let's see if he can jump up, because, oh no, he almost lost it in the final turn, and he does lose it. He gets the wall, so that's certainly not going to improve his time. But Alec, I think, has been struggling to qualify in a couple of oval races this season, Ayrton. But right now, he finds himself in the middle of the field for this road course race.
Yeah, I mean, because it's an oval series, most of these guys are oval drivers. So, of course, there's going to be guys that might be a little bit more familiar with the road courses, and also guys that are very unfamiliar with the road side of iRacing. So this definitely helps things mix up. And we see some fast drivers pretty far down, or some drivers that we're not used to seeing up at the front up there. We see, I mean, I'm looking at Jason Matzel, who's in 7th. We haven't seen him up in the top 10 that much this season.
Now we're being told that a fuel run is about 22 to 23 laps around here, 32 lap race. That means you could see some trucks pitting around lap 10. We're currently watching the number 91 truck of Brian Yatsik finish up his run here. He's going to go through the last of the yeses there, that's turn 9, and then he's going to go through turn 10, which is White's corner, and cross the line. He is currently in 9th position, and it doesn't look like he's improved. He's going to start from 9th, which isn't a bad place to be starting.
Yeah, for sure. He was only about 10th off his lap, so definitely looks to have a little bit of consistency, not just a one-lap fluke.
Absolutely, and we're being told that there are some Justin Wilson tributes out on some of the trucks today, so we'll get to see a couple of different paint schemes throughout the race. Right now, though, the field is getting gridded up, so let's run you through the field, because qualifying is over. Justin Fuller is on pole position. He's not always in attendance, but when he is, that's not an unusual place to see him up front there. James Cahulin, 2nd, has also had a good season. Michael Krobach, one of our chase drivers, he's not always right up the front though, but it's very nice to see him there, 3rd in qualifying. Lined up alongside him will be Tommy Ryan, and then Ricky Hardin and points leader Gary Whitson will round out row 3.
Then in 7th place is Jason Matzel. Alongside him is Bryce Whitson. 9th is Brian Yatsik, and in 10th alongside him is Austin Missler. Then Dan Murray is in 11th, and Jeffrey Belt in 12th.
Another relatively new name to my knowledge is Mark Myers in 13th, and then we got Nick Cohan lined up alongside him in 14th. Ty Hester, one of our chase drivers who has had a solid season but didn't do too hot in qualifying, he's down there in 15th, lined up alongside Brandon Jones in 16th. Jesse Fowler lines up in 17th place alongside the aforementioned Alec Marshall in 18th.
Then Jim Foos is going to be in 19th place. Alex Bates is alongside him in 20th. Keith Jolly in 21st, and Jeffrey Gilliam in 22nd. Norman Pelletier, his first race, going to start in 23rd place. Then alongside him is Jared Haggerty.
Behind him will be Brad Fulham in 25th, and he is the last of the drivers who set a lap. Your qualifying times do not count if you put a wheel or two off during your qualifying lap, so that means that these drivers were not able to set a time during the 10-minute qualifying session. Aaron Cleanhans in 26th, Alec Guys in 27th, Zach Colloway in 28th, Benny Ellison in 29th, Michael Koenig in 30th, and Carson Orbay will round up the field.
This is a rolling start as well, which is a little unusual for sprint road course racing.
Yep, they're going to do one pace lap here. Now we're being told that the Whitson Motorsports drivers, of which there are 3 in the chase, Gary Whitson, Michael Krobach and Bryce Whitson, have been getting a bit of road course coaching before this race by the one and only GSRC's Kevin Brown. So if one of those 3 comes across the line in first place today, I guess they're going to owe Kevin a thanks. And unfortunately, though, I know in the past Kevin has made a few mistakes when calling road course strategy for some of these drivers. CES and fuel mileage comes to mind. But fuel mileage shouldn't be as much of a concern today.
No broadcast is safe, is it, Sam?
Alright, well, they're working their way through turn 4 here, and they'll be going down into turn 5. Moss, we haven't really talked a heck of a lot about Moss here today, Ayrton, but these drivers, look at that green on the exit of that turn. It's very easy to run into that grass on the left-hand side of your screen there, the right-hand side for these drivers, and if they do, they can slide through and take a driver out in this little hairpin hill. It's kind of a double apex right-hander that goes around 180 degrees. It's also very easy to try and pick up a gas a little bit too early to go down this Mario Andretti straight. We are going to see a lot of action, and it's not all going to be pretty down in that hairpin today.
Yeah, even turn 1 on the start here, going side by side through that corner is pretty difficult because it's actually a fairly narrow and fast corner. So these guys are probably going to want to try to get single file before that corner, but it's not a very long front stretch, so it's definitely going to be interesting for turn 1.
And if they can't get single file before turn 1, they better do it before turn 2, because I guarantee you on this first lap or two, we're going to see someone overshoot the second corner, and when you get in the grass on the outside of that turn, you have no choice. You'll go into the wall. Anyhow, the Ford Mustang pace car is about to peel off. Justin Fuller and James Kahula will lead the field to the green flag. Justin Fuller being the pole sitter in the number 51 truck on the inside line, the darker truck there. The green flag is out in the air, and Justin Fuller actually spins his wheels on the start there, and that means James Kahula in the white number 8 truck on the outside might lead into the first turn, but he doesn't. Fuller gets a great run through the first corner. They're still side by side for the lead, enter in turn 2. That's not what you want to do here. Watch the back of the screen. I guarantee you someone's going to run off on the exit there, but it's not going to be the leaders. Justin Fuller takes the lead from James Kahula.
Looks like the rest of the field is pretty safe throughout turns 1 and 2, so most drivers single file, a little bit of side-by-side action, but definitely that battle for the first seems pretty hot so far.
Yes, they've been able to get through it this time around. A couple of drivers putting wheels off, but they're able to keep it on the track. Justin Fuller leading the field down into the moss for first time, and there's James Kahula behind him. Tommy Ryan has moved up into third ahead of Michael Krobach. Ricky Harding rounds out the top 5. Oh, got one driver going off. It's Benny Ellison. He gets his nose of his truck into the wall, but he should be able to rejoin the race. And we'll get a replay of that, because pretty much the front of the field has spread out here, and you'll watch Benny Ellison basically at the bottom of the hill just overshoots Moss a little bit and runs off and goes into the tyre barrier. They're working their way through turn 4 in the replay here and down the hill, and you'll just see that he just takes a turn a little bit too hot and gets the nose of that Toyota Tundra bloodied up a little bit.
He had a little bit of contact with Alex Geiser's truck as well. Nothing too major.
The field work in lap 2, Justin Fuller has already put a bit of a gap on James Kahula, and Jeffrey Belt is off. And he has lost a few positions. He is one of the trace drivers in the number 62 truck. He started the lap in 10th, he has fallen to 14th, but he was able to get it back on the course in that Dregs truck.
I think one of the tricks for this race is going to be trying to preserve your tires, because with the amount of sliding that you do around in this truck around here, you can really burn them pretty quickly, and saving those. So we have a little bit of side-by-side action. Jeffrey Belt made a dive into Moss, managed to get it a little bit and that's Mark Myers and Brandon Jones, but they both managed to save it and get back on track.
Oh, but here we go. They're about to run side by side down the Mario Andretti straight. That might not work out for them, because they've got some very fast S's coming up at the end of this straight here. This is for about 16th position, and Jesse Fowler almost gets hit by Mark Myers there. Jesse Fowler, one of the trace drivers in the Petco truck, but able to get through it cleanly, and they're doing about 170 miles an hour as they head into the S's there.
Yeah, but as I was saying with the tires, for some of the guys that are trying to get leads early on, they might burn those tires really quickly. So even though Justin Fuller has a nice healthy lead, he might be burning those tires. He might have really fast hot laps, but in 10 or so laps, James Kahula might catch up to him.
And Mark Myers is falling back here, and it's going to hurt Alec Marshall. He was trying to look on the outside for him. As a result, he's going to run off into the grass. He's able to keep it off the wall, but he's going to lose multiple positions. Oh, and he spins his tyres, getting back on the track and noses it into the outside wall.
Oh.
There's still cars coming up behind him. Hopefully he can get back on track in time. Actually, behind him, Michael Koenig has just ran off course.
That's the worst thing, when you think you've gotten back on track, you think you're all safe, and then just a little bit of spin on the grass. The grass really has very little grip. It's unforgiving.
Yeah, we'll see Michael Koenig. He just apexes this turn way too early. He may have actually lost it on the entry there. I'll tell you what, and the track there isn't having problems. His connection's just a little off. For the mistake that Michael Koenig made entering the turn, he was glad to get out of that. Meanwhile, Nick Cohan is off. A lot of early incidents here. There's some damage to Nick Cohan's left front fender, but he's able to keep going around. He is currently in 13th place now.
Yeah, right now I'm keeping an eye on Ricky Harden and Michael Krobach. Ricky Harden is he's very close, right in the rear of him, so Krobach makes a mistake, he might lose that 4th place position.
I think Krobach did an exceptional job in qualifying Ayrton, and that might hurt him because he might have to race defensively here. And you see the Justin Wilson tribute on the nose of Ricky Harden's truck here. But Krobach started in 3rd place, and he's fallen back to 5th early, so he might have to do a bit of defensive racing. Now I think someone just lost the connection here. Has Ricky Harden lost the connection? He's one of our chase drivers.
Yeah, just a beer for me. That's not good. You don't want a connection loss in the middle of the race.
And that is not the first time that has happened to Ricky. I know he had been in the process of moving house, and that he was saying the connection would be better once he did move. Unfortunately, it's not better this race. It's very unfortunate for Ricky Harden there.
Meanwhile, behind him, though, we do have the battle of the brothers. Bryce Whitson and Gary Whitson are very close. They also have Brian Yatzik and Austin Missler right behind. This is quite a group we have as they're going through the final corner. Brian Yatzik got a little loose. He might lose that position for, I believe that's 8th place. Doesn't quite, but he loses a little bit of time to Bryce Whitson.
And Bryce doing well to hold on to 6th place right now, because I noticed he was a late joiner to the session. I almost wondered if he wasn't going to start for some reason. You ride on board Bryce Whitson right now. But he did come in late to the session, although usually when you see that road courses, that means the drivers are a little bit off at pace. He looks down the inside of Gary here, who makes a mistake. They're cousins, so I'm sure they're going to respect each other here. And we have got official confirmation that Ricky Harden has lost his internet connection. So Bryce lets Gary go for now, but right now he's doing a very solid job running up there in 6th position, considering he was late joiner to the session. We're watching this battle for 16th here. We've got Alex Bates currently behind Mark Myers there for position, who has already seen his fair share of action early on here. Some of these drivers sitting back in the 20s. We've had multiple trucks go off, including Aaron Kleinhans and Jared Haggerty was off earlier during this lap. So there's some trucks at the very back who are a bit beat up. No free repair. Oh, the truck in front of him has lost it. That's Mark Myers.
Mark Myers.
Very good job to save that.
Yeah, he managed to get back on track, but lost a position to Alex Bates there.
Oh, you can see the paint scheme there saying don't panic. And he did a very good job at not panicking and was able to get back on course with only losing 1 position. I'll tell you what, road course racing in these trucks, which aren't really built for road courses, is something, but when you take them onto a road course such as Mosport, I mean, this is a tricky enough track even on the road course car. As you see, Gary Whitson proving my point right there, making another mistake. Bryce is all over him. You've got to begin thinking maybe Bryce was saying, hey Gary, Let's stop holding me up here, bud. We're cousins. We don't want to take each other out. Let's let me by. Unfortunately, they're both racing for the championship, and they were actually racing for the championship win last season, so I don't know if that's going to happen. And sure enough, Gary holds his position going into the S's.
Yeah, these guys have got to be careful because they have Brian Yaksic right behind them, so if either of them, it's a small mistake, he's right there to pounce.
And that's Austin Missler at the tail end of that truck. We haven't really given him much of a shout out today. Rice actually makes a mistake coming out of White's right there. Now has Yaksic on the back of him. Now they go through turn 1 here. You're allowed to run over that curb. That is completely legal. Yaksic poking his nose underneath Bryce there in turn 2, but that would be a foolhardy place to make a move in my opinion. So now they run down to turn 3, which is called Quebec, a slom right-hander. That could be a move if you're trying to make something desperate late on in the race. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything up front. Fuller continues to lead Krahula.
Not by much, only about 1.3 second lead. They're already coming up to a little bit of lap traffic. Carson Abe is a little bit ahead of them, so definitely lap traffic might come into an issue as this race comes along.
Yeah, very good job by the field so far. They keep it clean in the early laps. Ricky Hardin is 1 lap down because he lost the connection. I think he has rejoined the server. Jason Matzel is 2 laps down. He started from pit road. He wasn't going at the start of the race. Not entirely sure what the story was there. Everyone else still on the lead lap, still in contention. We're watching a battle here between Jim Foose and Alex Bates. Now, Jim Foose has actually been on the move early on. He started 19th. He's up to 15th, although he might lose that because Bates is all over the back of him entering the S's.
Nick Cohan is crawling behind these two as well, so definitely ready to pounce if either of them make a mistake. They're also not far behind Jesse Fowler, who looks to be going a little slow, maybe lost a little bit of time from a mistake in the last couple laps.
Well, someone who did make a mistake was Nick Cohan. He was... Oh, and Nick Cohan makes a mistake again there, entering in turn 1. He was in front of his pack last lap, ran off course and lost the positions. And you can tell Andre is already a little bit beat up, so Cohan struggling to find his way around on the road course, but he's been able to keep it on the grey stuff for the most part. And I'm thinking, Ayrton, if we see some trucks short pitting, they might be in the next lap or 2, and they'll be able to get damage like that repaired.
Oh yeah, for sure. We might see some guys head into the pits. I mean, within the next 10 laps, we're probably going to be seeing guys heading into the pits. As you said with that strategy pitting before the caution.
We continue to watch this pack, and I'll tell you, Justin Fuller's coming out of the final turn right now. They put lap 8 on the board, so we'll see if they come in the next lap or 2. As we mentioned, not a whole lot going on up front. They still remain single file. So we'll continue to watch this battle in the middle of the field, which is kind of broken up here, Ayrton, because early on these trucks are definitely wanting to try and get some space for each other, log laps. They know there's a caution coming on late in the race where they'll be able to play some strategy, and then they can begin racing each other. Right now they're all just trying to race the track and get to the halfway point.
Yeah, the Whitsons are still very close though. Bryce Whitson right on the rear. Yaksic has backed off a little bit from these two.
Oh, Jeffrey Belt has spun. One of our chase contenders going to go back across the circuit. Fortunately, no one was coming, but he goes into reverse as those trucks coming around the corner. Jeffrey Belt, one of the chase contenders, that's going to be very costly for him in the points.
Drop back to 18th place.
Yeah, let's see what happened to Belt here. He runs off, runs wide, gets the right rear in the grass, and instead of spinning out to the outside wall, he just loops it around and is able to get it stopped. But then he must have had his F3 screen up and knew that no drivers were coming around the corner, because he made some very daring moves there, but fortunately was able to get back on the course without being hit by anyone. Haven't given Dan Murray and Ty Hester a shout out, but they're both running in the top 10. Actually pretty close right now. Dan Murray right in front of Ty Hester as they work their way through the final corner. Dan is the driver at 12th in the chase points, several points back. Ty Hester currently sits second in the chase.
Yeah, Ty Hester didn't have the best qualifying. He started in 15th place. He managed to get up to 10th place, which is where he's sitting now. Well, actually, Dan Murray had a little bit of slide through Clayton there. Lex Hester closed up a little bit as they're heading down to turn 3.
Oh, there's a truck off in front of them. It looks like a lap truck though, so hopefully it should let them by. There we go. And now they're going down the run down to turn 5, a hairpin here. And they're spaced out enough where Ty won't be able to do anything this time around, but he's still in close contact.
That last lap, James Krahula actually lost a lot of time to Justin Fuller. He was 1.8 last lap. I actually want to see what the distance is now because the gap's definitely a lot bigger.
Yeah, but let's not forget that James Krahula is racing for a championship. Justin Fuller is not, so he's just here for the win. So I'm sure James Krahula, if he has the opportunity to try and make a pass for the win later on, he'll certainly try it. But he's going to be a lot more level-headed, in my opinion, than Justin Fuller is. Who, although Justin's going to know that, hey, I'm racing a driver here who's racing for the championship, and I might not want to get into him. You know, at the same time, he's going to want to come away with this win or nothing.
Yeah. And I just looked to see how
I'm sorry, Michael Koenig has spun one of the lap trucks, and there's a whole field coming by him in turn 2 there. Fortunately, he's able to back it out of the racing line and no one hits him, but there were a couple of the leaders there who had a bit of a scare.
A lot of guys having trouble in turn 2 so far.
Not unusual for them to have trouble at that corner, and especially with the high temperatures. But watch this as we get a replay of Michael Koenig spinning in front of the field, and fortunately all the leaders were able to get by without hitting him. Meanwhile, one leader who did just have a bit of trouble was Brandon Jones, who was running in 11th place. He just had a bit of contact with the wall. He's back running again, and he is still in 11th place, but you'll see him... Oh, there's one truck flipping up on the backstretch. It's Michael Koenig again. There's a replay of Brandon Jones, but Michael Koenig just lost it on the Mario Andretti straight. Because, yeah, and we'll watch a replay, we'll get it here. It's not exactly straight, and Koenig's truck being as damaged as it was, he goes into one of the little kinks in the straight, the rear end completely steps out, and he just goes straight into the wall.
Yeah, he almost hit Brandon Jones as well.
Yeah, he got a bit of a grouse, that's what happened there. Right now, there's a train of trucks behind Jim Foose for 12th. Now, I'm not going to say that Jim's been holding them up, because he started in 19th, so actually he's been passing a lot of these trucks. But right now, he does have a train, and actually Jim runs wide there, but able to keep it on course. I did see a bit of tyre smoke there, suggesting that someone had been around. I think it might have been Norman Pelita.
Yeah, he spun around it too.
Yeah, he's had a few issues early on today. He's currently a lap down, and he's going to want to pull out the way very quickly because this pack is coming up on him.
A little bit of contact at the back of that pack. Mark Myers got hit in the rear by Nick Cohan a little bit, entering Moss, but both of them come out okay.
I think Nick Cohan got a bit of a grass in 4. That's kind of what triggered that.
Oh, Jared Haggerty is parked on the front stretch. It looks like he spun around out of the final corner. Trying to figure out how to get back around. He managed to get back right now without getting in the way of anyone, but a little awkward for some of the guys going by.
Yeah, Jared, another one of those drivers who has been struggling to get the grip early on. And meanwhile, Norman has came into the pits, so that means the pack of lead lap trucks will be able to go by him. I'm surprised we haven't seen any of the leaders coming in yet, Ayrton.
Yeah, with 13 laps in, out of 32. Not even halfway yet.
No, I guess they know the competition caution will come out at lap 20, so if they pit on about lap 19, they'll have really fresh tyres for the restart.
Yeah, I think hitting closer to the caution would be better, because those fresh tires will definitely help. We even saw the very start, Justin Fuller gain a lot of tire spin on the green, so we don't want to see that happening to any of the leaders later on in the race.
I just don't see this pack lasting forever. Jim Foose has done a great job to go from 19th to 12th. Alex Bates has been holding it well in 13th place there. Behind them, Mark Myers and Nick Cohan.
Oh.
And actually, Myers gets in the wall. Here we go. How did they hold on to that?
I don't know, doing some lawnmower work. Looks like they're side by side. They're going to head into 8. Nick Cohan on the outside. It's tough to stay on the outside, but he breaks very late and manages to get it right before the corner. So Mark Myers lets go of it, and he drops down to, I believe that's 15th place.
What's happened to the 91 truck? Brian Yatzik, who was running up there in the top 10, we'll get a replay of this, but I can tell you that Brian Yatzik has been off course. And you see an aerial view of the replay there, and you can see the walls along the side of the track. That would have been really ugly had that turned out to be an incident, because, I mean, you got nowhere to go down that straight if an accident breaks out in front of you.
An update on Brian Yatzik. He went off in Clayton turn 2, and that cost him. He's dropped down to 11th place now, so definitely not great for him. He was up there in that battle with the Whitsons in 7th place beforehand.
So that's a loss of 4 positions there. Meanwhile, we go back to this battle for 12th. Well, not necessarily a battle, but I wouldn't call it a procession either. It's just a tightly knit pack.
Looks like Jeffrey Belt getting a run on Mark Myers in that 15th position.
Jeffrey's one of our chase drivers who had a bit of issues earlier. Mark Myers also been in the walls a bit. 160 miles an hour as they come down into the turn, and Belt takes a position. Oh, Fuller just made a mistake over in Moss. He's able to keep on course, but I'm sure that's going to cost him a bit of time. It'll be interesting to see how much time that meant Krahula caught in on him, because it was 3.2 seconds. We'll update the gap for you as they come across the line. Okay, it's actually up to 3.5, so maybe that suggests Krahula's had a bit of a rough lap as well, but Fuller definitely made a mistake over in Moss. And because of those grassy areas with absolutely no grip, as Jeffrey Gilliam in between those two drivers, the lap truck goes into the pits. And because of the proximity of the walls, that's all it's going to take, Curtin, is just one mistake around here. And 3 seconds could turn into, well, you could be out of a race. Talking about that, over in Moss here, we got a battle between Cohan. That's Alex Bates who's challenging. And the race is going to go on down the Mario Andretti straight now.
Yeah, Jeffrey Belt got a great run out of the corner. He's going to go straight on by Cohan before they even head up to the S's. So now Jeffrey Belt having a good time getting through this pack so far. He's up to 14th now.
And a lot of the leaders are into the pits, so this could change things. And actually they could be re-emerging right into the middle of this pack. That's not what these championship contenders are going to want. Gary Whitson, Bryce Whitson and Dan Murray are all in their pit stalls right now. In fact, Gary Whitson leads. Where is this pack? They are coming down into turn 1 right now. Gary, I think, will beat them. Bryce will beat them too. But behind them is going to be Dan Murray, who was a bit further back in the order. Bryce only just able to get out in front of this pack.
Oh, that's not great for Dan Murray.
Man, Bryce must have had an F1 engineer on these pit wall there to time that like he did. Because if he had been behind even one of those trucks, that would have been bad. Meanwhile, talking about bad, Brandon Jones, who has stayed out and is actually running up pretty high in the order right now, just had a bit of an off, but he's back on course. It says he's in 8th, but remember that 3 of the leaders just pit, so essentially he's going to be in 10th or 11th. That's not the first time we've seen Brandon Jones off. You can see his number 32 truck is a bit beat up. currently working lap 17. We're right about the halfway point.
Jeffrey Belt tried to make a move in the S's on Alex Bates for that 13th position. Didn't quite get there for that corner. It's a little tough if you can't brake very late. Right behind him, that's Nick Cohan headed into the pits.
Meanwhile, Carson Orbe has been having a rough day, just put his truck into the wall exiting turn 2. We're watching Nick Cohan coming into the pits here, going to get those repairs to his truck.
Actually, Jeffrey Belt made a great move on Alex Bates going into turn 1. He got a run out of the final corner, and he slots up into 12th place now.
Yeah, remember, Jeffrey is a bit faster than all of these trucks, although he almost runs off in the grass there. That would have been ugly if he'd spun on the exit of that turn, because he got a very close wall on the left-hand side there. Belt is one of the chase drivers who made a mistake early on, so he's trying to work his way back up through the field and score some points. But if he makes just another mistake, he could lose a lot more than a few spots. He's behind Jim Foose right now. They run in 11th and 12th, 2 of the yellow trucks in the field.
Oh, Gary Whitson ahead of them got held up a little bit with traffic, allowing Bryce Whitson to close up. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move into the S's, but he's definitely got to run.
And we get that on screen now. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Michael Krobach is into the pits. And we watch Gary leading Bryce here. Bryce is obviously faster, he just hasn't been able to find a way around Gary today. And Michael Krobach is coming out of the pits. He will re-emerge in front of this battle.
They closed up on him. Quite a significant amount, actually.
They'll close up a lot more once the caution flag is thrown.
Alright, yeah, 2 laps to go.
They would have closed up a lot right there if Krobach had ran off on turn 2, and he almost did. That's the problem with pitting on the road course, as actually we see some action in the background here. The lap trucks, actually Dan Murray going 3 wide between 2 lap trucks, and they're causing troubles for these lead lap trucks going by them. Norman gets out the way and takes to the grass to let them all by. That could have been a bit wild otherwise.
Yeah, Justin Fuller heads into the pit, but James Kahula decides to stay out for another lap.
He's got to hope that the caution, competition caution doesn't come out a bit early. They didn't say lap 20 for sure, they said around lap 20. Kahula. Yeah, Keith Jolly has been off course. We're being told there's another truck stopped. You see Keith Jolly, yeah. Number 94 truck, it doesn't look to be beat up at all, he just had a bit of an adventure. Keith Jolly, in his part-time as a photographer, and he just wanted to take some photos of the fans in the grandstands over there. I made that up. Krahula still continues to lead around, and Jim Foose is coming into the pits.
One of Jeffrey Belt.
This will be interesting seeing if Belt can jump him in the pit stall. They pull in now. Everyone's been taking 4 tyres. Belt was very slow getting into his pit stall. He didn't overshoot it, but he almost undershot it, and I think that could cost him time here. So Foose may re-emerge in front. No, Belt is going to trump Foose in the pit. So, these are 2 chase drivers right there. That could be worth some valuable points. And meanwhile, Kahula's heading in. Where's Justin Fuller?
He's definitely going to come out ahead. At least, I mean, Justin Fuller is going to be ahead. Kahula's still in his pit stall. I think he actually lost a bit of time there. Coming out of pits right now.
Yeah, Kahula might actually have to worry about Tommy Ryan, and well, no, he's not going to. He might have to after the caution flag, because Tommy won here last year, and he's had a good pace today. Maybe he's been saving his equipment for this final stint here. Yeah, the Whitson battle still ongoing as they go into turn 1. And the competition caution is thrown.
We have word that there's a moose on the track.
Or is that Alex Bates in the wall?
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, he just got a piece of wall going down the front stretch. I don't know, that black truck could be confused for Moose, I presume.
Yeah.
A moose stuck in maple syrup, apparently, and if there was more than one moose, of course, would that be Meese, of course? Oh, he actually got the wall pretty hard. I've never punched a moose in the face, but I'm assuming that's what it looks like. Brandon Jones also running off course, trying to get around a couple of trucks here. Obviously, we have some lap trucks on the course, so the order's going to get a bit shuffled. So why not take a little break here, and when we come back, we'll be able to update the order for you.
Friction is heat. You know, you take an engine where the lifter goes up and down, pushes the valve up and down, it really gets hot right there. That's where oil breaks down and where we have failures. AMSOIL, on the other hand, it's a true synthetic lubricant. It's just idling right there. It doesn't even know it's being used. In other words, 300 degrees is ho hum to AMSOIL.
Hello and welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where we are working the second of 10 races in the chase for the 2015 ASRS AMSOIL Truck Series live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me is Ayrton Ellis, and behind the scenes directing all the cameras is Joe Peak, and those cameras are provided to us by Dougie Beard. We are currently working a competition caution here with Justin Filler in the lead. And now I'm trying to look at the deck lid of Bryce Whitson's truck here. Those look like all the dates of Justin Wilson's IndyCar wins on the back of his truck. That's a nice cool little tribute he has on the rear there. Anyhow, the top 10 right now, as we give you our ASRS AMSOIL top 10 rundown, is Justin Fuller, who has been leading the race from the get-go, although James Kahula definitely challenged him for that position into the first turn. Tommy Ryan, last year's winner, is currently running in third place. Michael Krobach has been having a solid race tonight. He is currently in fourth. Gary Whitson, the points leader, is currently in fifth place, although his cousin has been hounding him for position the entire race. That is Bryce Whitson in sixth place. In seventh place is Dan Murray, who's a bit out of a bit in the rears as far as championship contention goes, but certainly some good results. He might be able to make those points up. Ty Hester has had a very unfortunate season, is currently holding his ground in 8th position. Austin Missler and Brian Yarczyk, two drivers we don't always mention, have been running there in 9th and 10th, where it's been a little bit wild in the middle of the field today, Ayrton.
Oh yeah, for sure. Brian Yarczyk has had quite an eventful race. He was fighting up there for that 5th place position, but made a little bit of mistake in Clayton and fell back. So we've had a few drivers that have fallen victim to Clayton. It seems to be the real popular one when it comes to making mistakes.
Now, Justin Fuller has been dominating the race early on here today, Ayrton, but James Kahula has been holding his ground well in second, as is Tommy Ryan in third position. Do you think either of those two drivers, them two being chase drivers and Justin not, do you think they've just been trying to log laps here and that they might have something for Justin in this final stint?
Well, knowing James, I feel like he's probably going to try and go for the win. He definitely contended for it in the first lap. If he can get a good start like that, again, he might be able to get ahead of Justin Fuller if he can do it a second time. And then there's also Tommy Ryan. He's ready to pounce if either of those two make a mistake in the process. So either of those guys, they might be able to make battle. But I feel like if Fuller gets a breakaway at the start, they're going to be battling each other, not Fuller.
Well, hopefully the pace car lights will go off this time by, and then we will get a 9-lap shootout to the end of the race, because the pace car lights are currently on. Let's see, he's working his way through turn 9 here, the last one of the yeses, and then they'll work their way through whites. That is turn 10, this final right-hander here, and as they cross the finish line, are we indeed going to see the pace car lights go off on that Ford Mustang? Crosses the line, yes they do, so we will have a 9-lap shootout to decide it all, and obviously there won't be any cautions because it is a road course race. Are you hot yet? Imagine the oil in your car. With oil temperatures reaching 300 to 400 degrees, would you trust some off-the-shelf oil? Step up to AMSOIL, 100% synthetic oil from Adam Bladel. Direct shipping across the 48 contiguous United States, and the best prices you will find. Support Americans, support a fellow racer, and buy your next oil and get your next oil change from Adam Bladel. Also, we would like to give a shout out to our social media accounts during this downtime right here. You are more than free to chat with us on social media on YouTube or on Twitter at GSR Channel or on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel, and we will try our best to communicate with you while at the same time keeping up with some wild action we've seen here today, Ayrton. Not necessarily at the front, but there's been a lot of interesting races going on in the middle of the field where some chase drivers find themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. And I mean, at the moment, the chase is very mixed up because we have those the points that were taken away for drivers who had less races. So there's like a few guys that are quite high up and a few guys that are a little lower down. So it's definitely interesting. I feel like it's gonna, within the next few races, kind of switch back to how it was going into the chase. But right now, definitely we have some guys high up in the chase that are a little in the mid-pack of the field.
Now, one driver who's going to benefit from this caution is Ricky Hardin, who lost the connection early on, but only lost 1 lap. Currently, there's only 20 trucks on the lead lap, so he might be able to rally back to a 21st place finish, and then also considering the fact that, yes, we're probably going to have 1 or 2 of the lead lap trucks involved in incidents that they might not be able to get back on track from, considering that we are about to have a 9-lap shootout here. As you can imagine, Justin Fuller has chosen the inside line for the restart. Really not a whole lot of going for you on the outside on the road course. The last and the first turns being right-handers. The Ford Mustang pace car is off. The green flag is in the air. Once again, Fuller kicks out the rear end. And Tommy Ryan actually changed lanes before the restart there in third. Realised his mistake and then got back into line. Meanwhile, though, as you mentioned, Durton, Krahula is not giving up on that win yet.
He got a little bit of a weak exit out of 1 and that allowed Tommy Ryan to get a little close up. So he's kind of lost the touch of Justin Fuller. Meanwhile, the rest of the pack looks like all of them are single file. Actually, Brandon Jones had a little bit of an off on Clayton. Managed to save it, but he lost position to Nick Cohan for that 13th position. Or 12th position, rather.
Alex Guys has actually gone off at Clayton, but everyone else, all of our trace drivers, are able to get through it. By the way, when we mention all of our trace drivers, all 12 of them are in this race, in case you were curious. Fuller continues to lead them down into Moss here. And they're getting a bit close back there, just outside the top 5, but able to keep off of one another. And Fuller is able to open up a gap over the battle for second as they go down the backstretch. But then that battle for second kind of breaks up. Really, you have to go back to about 8th, where the first battle is. Ty Hester holding off a challenge from Brian Yaxley. Alright, who's going to give going into the turn here? Brian runs out wide and has to back off, or else he would have been in the grass there, and Ty Hester's going to win the position.
Get that outside position and make a pass. You can hold it long enough to try to make it on the left turn, but definitely it's a very long corner, that right-hander, so definitely difficult. Brian Yatsik trying to get back up to that position where he was. He wasn't 7th earlier in the race, battling for 5th with the Whitsons. Sin in 9th right now.
Less than 8 laps to go now. Fuller's pulled away from Krahula, who I'm sure will be... I mean, Krahula is the first of the trace drivers right now. I'm sure...
Oh, James Krahula went off. Turn 3.
Oh, now he's not. Wow, that's how provisional points leader there almost. I mean, he's been at the front of the points all season long, and he rejoins the track back in about 20th position.
Yeah, he got loose coming out of Clayton and tried to correct it and overcorrect it and went straight into the wall. Well, actually went across turn 3 and then into the wall.
Meanwhile, Gary Whitson has just ran off on Moss. He's able to get back on the track, but that means that finally his cousin Bryce has been able to pass him for position.
Well, it looks like Dan Murray trying to get on the inside as well.
We get the helicopter running at about 200 miles an hour down there on the backstretch to try and catch up with this battle. Gary Whitson on the outside, Dan Murray on the inside, and just like that, Gary makes a mistake and loses 2 positions on one straight.
Right behind them, Brian Yatsik managed to get around Ty Hester as well, actually on the outside this time, so a good run from him, managed to get that position up into 8th place.
And Ty Hester actually spins the tyres coming out of a turn there. So what went from absolutely brilliant drive from James Krahula and the potential point stay has now turned really sour for him, and instead Tommy Ryan now finds himself the leader of the Trace drivers in the race in 2nd place, and behind him Michael Krobach is now up into 3rd. Oh, and Jeffrey Gilliam has gone off in Clayton and slams the tyre barrier.
Ooh, that was a big hit.
Yes, it was. Fortunately, it was passenger side. Well, I guess fortunately it was sim racing. Meanwhile, Jim Foose has not got off to a good restart. He's dropped to 15th and actually has just ran into James Kahula. And there's a 3rd chase driver in that involved. Jesse Fowler, James Kahula. We're getting a replay of Jeffrey Gilliam here, but then we will get back to this action. This is in the run down to Moss. Krahula makes a move on Jim Foose. Jim gets into the back of him as they enter the turn, and then as they spin and block the track, Jesse Fowler, a 3rd chase driver, gets caught behind them with absolutely nowhere to go, and there was another truck off in front of them.
I don't think that, I think that's Benny Elson, not Jesse Fowler, but Jesse Fowler was behind it.
Fortunately for Kahula, he only lost 1 spot, but still these Trace drivers who are in the middle of the field, and some of them who have been up the front of the field, have had some adventures today. Meanwhile, Brandon Jones is off in turn 2, Clayton. Able to get back on track. I think he lost just 1 position, although you see Jim Foose will certainly be thinking about that now. The front of Jim Silverado has been pushed in a little bit due to that incident last lap. And 5 laps left to go. It doesn't sound like a lot, Ayrton, but a 2.5 mile circuit, a lot can happen.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on the moment. I'm just watching a little bit of the top 10. Looks like quite a few kind of passive battles. Some guys are close up and not quite actually battling. Probably the closest one is Jeffrey Belt and Ricky Harden. Oh, actually, Ricky Harden's the lap car. Never mind.
Yeah, we continue to watch this battle for 14th here with Jesse Fowler and Alex Bates, who were behind that incident that took place just a lap ago between Jim Foose and James Kahula. Fowler playing defensive right now, and as they do this, Kahula's able to catch him up again. That's Kahula in that white number 8 truck behind him. Jesse Fowler in the Petco truck. And we now ride on board Kahula. Working their way through turn 2 here, Clayton. That's what it looks like when they all get it right. We haven't seen it happen every lap today. Bit of trouble brewing in front of him. Nick Cohan just had another off. He's been able to... It's amazing to see Cohan in 9th and also... in 11th, and Brandon Jones still up there in 12th after all the trouble they've had today.
Cohan goes off in Moss.
And you ride on board Kahula, actually you see Cohan getting back on course in front of you now, And that's going to allow Fowler to pass. Maybe. No, Fowler spun his wheels a little bit. Watch out for that grass on the side of the track. We saw how that could have turned ugly early on. And in fact, Ty Hester, they just flew by Ty Hester, who had some trouble down the backstretch. That would have been really ugly if they hit him.
Oh, he spun on the backstretch. He was in 8th place and spun.
He's going to lose a lot of positions coming into this round, second in the points. He's not going to leave at second in the points. There you catch the tail end of the incident there. Now camera guys will now show you exactly what happened. Early on in the chase, so you got time to make points back up, and actually you see a truck going off behind there, behind Hester, but let's see, I'm going to guess he just, yeah, he's trying to use up all the track, just gets in the grass. Did a nice job to not damage it more than what he did. Although, mind you, he did get the right side of that truck pretty good.
Yeah, he did lose 8 positions, dropped from 8th to 16th. So definitely not the best last few laps for him.
And of course, each of these drivers are going to be benefiting. Each of these chase drivers are going to be benefiting when another chase driver makes a mistake. None more so than Ricky Hardin, who really can't do a whole lot to pass these drivers because he's a lap down. But he's been able to get up into 20th, and if a lot of the chase drivers end up finishing between 10th and 15th or so, it's really not going to be a bad points day for him. Unfortunately, we have chase drivers also as high as 2nd and 3rd in the format of Tommy Ryan and of Michael Krobach.
Oh, contact between James Krahula and Alex Bates in turn 8. James Krahula actually goes off. Alex Bates managed to save it.
Right behind him is Jesse Fowler. We'll get a replay of that action going on here.
Yeah, Krahula tried to make an inside pass and slid up a little. Wasn't quite enough track for him.
I'm sorry, where's our leader gone? Something has happened to Justin Fuller. I'm not entirely sure what, but I don't see him out on course right now.
He just disappeared. Looks like he lost connection.
Yeah, he was blinking a bit earlier, but I don't think it was enough to, never thought it would be enough to lose the connection. And that means, believe it or not, unless anything else changes, for 2 years in a row, Tommy Ryan might come away your winner today.
Oh yeah, there's still 2 laps left. Michael Krobach is about 2nd behind. Actually, it's closed up in the last lap. It's definitely not over yet.
Michael Krobach, we've had 16 races this season, and he has only had 5 top 10 finishes, 3 top 5s. He's very good at being consistent. He hasn't always got up there at the finish line though, so you're going to bet, well, I mean, I'm sure he's thinking points, but if he could get a taste of victory, that would be huge for that number 7 truck.
And it's confirmed Justin Fuller did lose connection to the server, so that's not great for him. He was looking great for that win.
Battle for 12th on James Krahula on the inside of Alex Bates. It will now be for the outside. We've got this on at the back of a picture there. And Bates almost loses it on the inside. Bates is also a chase contender. As is Krahula, they work their way through Quebec here. And Bates makes a mistake and they get into each other, but Krahula takes the spot.
Yeah, a little bit of contact from those two, but right ahead of them, Nick Cohan, down turn 4, got a little loose. Didn't manage to save it, but he's definitely looked very squirrely. Had a little bit of contact with Jim Fuse again. Ahead of him, that allows James Krahula and Alex Bates to catch up to them through Moss. Oh, and Nick Cohan looking really, went right in between James Krahula and Alex Bates. Manages to come back on track, but almost hit one of those two.
One of these days, there's going to be a really big wreck down that backstretch. Meanwhile, white flag is in the air. Tommy Ryan has started the final lap. He has just over a second on Krobach as we get a replay of the incident here. Let's watch. It was we ride on board Alex Bates there, and there you see Nick Cohan just swerving through the middle of the field, fortunately able to avoid contact. Well, one driver who's been able to avoid contact is Tommy Ryan. He seems to always shine at the tracks where it is a bit more technical. I know he's got wins at Darlington Speedway. He's also got wins at Martinsville Speedway. He's always up front, and he's a pretty smart driver in my opinion, and he's been able to get the job done tonight, providing he gets through this final turn. Meanwhile, we're being told Jim Foose has gone off. One of the chase drivers was running in about 10th. It looks like he may have dropped out of the top 15. We'll go back and have a look at that after the race momentarily. Meanwhile, Crowbuck, though, do not discount what he has done in second position. But Tommy Ryan, providing he gets through these final 2 turns, he is going to come home your winner here today at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He exits the final turn, and Tommy Ryan wins at Mosport. Now, what has happened to Jim Foose? As we watch a battle here between Austin Missler behind Jeffrey Belt in 7th. Looks like Jeffrey's going to lock that position, which is good for a chase driver, or maybe not. And in fact, Austin Missler did beat him to the line by about a 10th of a second. Jesse Fowler able to bring it home, 12th place there. Ty Hester able to salvage an 11th. And there's Jim Foose finally crossing the line. He fell to 15th on the final lap. Not really sure what happened there. Well, certainly some action on the final lap, but there wasn't really a heck of a lot of action up front for Tommy Ryan. We didn't think he would be walking away your winner, but that is going to be the case here today. He brings it home 1.2 seconds ahead of Michael Crowbuck. A nice 32-lap race here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we will be able to talk to the winners when we return after these messages. Hello and welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where we just saw 32 laps of truck racing here in the ASRS at AMSOIL Truck Series on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Samuel Ryman, alongside me is Ayrton Ellis. Joe Peake was our director, and our camera sets were provided by Dougie Beard, and your race winner today was Tommy Ryan by 1.2 seconds over Michael Krobach. My co-commentator here, Ayrton, pointed out rightfully that the top 5 were all chase finishers. Bryce Whitson in 3rd, who we really never gave a shout out at the end there. Well done, Bryce, on getting that place. Dan Murray in 4th, and Gary Whitson fell to 5th after making a mistake. Brian Yaksic was able to pull on an impressive 6th place finish. Well, why not call it incredible too? It was. Austin Miller in 7th, and then chase driver Jeffrey Belt in 8th. Brandon Jones, despite his mistakes, was in 9th, and James Kahula, who could have came home with 2nd, came home in 10th after running off with a few laps to go, Ayrton.
Then in 11th was Ty Hester, who's second in the championship before this race. Jesse Fowler, chase driver, in 12th. Alex Bates in 13th, also a chase driver. And then Brad Fulham in 14th. Jim Foos, chase driver, in 15th place. Then Alex Guys in 16th. Nick Cohan finished in 17th, and 18th was Mark Myers. Ricky Hard, with a disappointing disconnect early on, finishes in 19th. And then Benny Elson in 20th.
And Ricky was the first driver 1 lap down. In 21st place was Jeffrey Gilliam, and then Keith Jolly was in 22nd. All of these drivers had offs, which cost them a lap. Justin Fuller was in 13th place, and Carson Orbett, 23rd place, add 10 to whatever I got wrong. 24th place was Carson Orbe, 25th was Jared Haggerty, and then Norman Polita was in 26th. Aaron Cleanhans was in 27th. By the way, once we got to about 26th here, all these drivers didn't finish. Alec Marshall was in 28th, Michael Koenig 29th, Zach Holloway 30th, and Jason Matzel was in 31st place. So those drivers didn't really have good races, but these 3 did, and we start with our 3rd place finisher, and that was Bryce Whitson. And Bryce, I've got to say, we never really called you 3rd place at the end of a race there, because last time we saw you, you were battling for about 6th.
Yeah, Sam, I just got real lucky there near the end. First off, let me say, Justin Fuller had the field covered, and it's unfortunate that he had the issues that he did, but that was a lot of fun. I couldn't ask for a better finish. If you would have told me I was going to get a top 10 coming into this race, I would have been ecstatic, much less a top 3.
Now, our very own GSRC Kevin Brown said he helped coach you with some motorsports guys before the race. How much did that coaching help?
Kevin did an amazing job, and I can't give anything but thanks to him. He definitely picked all of us up 1 to 2 seconds a lap right off the bat. The entire time I was out there driving, all I was doing was thinking about what he was saying to me during our practice session, and he was definitely amazing. Without him, I don't think we would have been able to finish near as well as we had.
Well, if Kevin ever screws up, direct him. We know that he can get a good second job as a driver coach then. So Michael Krobach, Tommy Ryan were the 2 that finished in front of you. They are both chase drivers. You're a chase driver too, obviously. You're happy with your points finish here, but you were 10th coming into this race. How do you think a picture is going to be looking for you entering Chicagoland?
I'm really going to need a couple of the other guys to mess up at a couple tracks. We had a bad run at Bristol with that wreck early. I felt like we were real competitive at Bristol. I feel like we made the right call. I just overdrove it a little bit and put ourselves in a hole. But, just like last year, we ended up finishing at the end of the season with a good points lead. So hopefully we can make these up and do something here near the end.
For our viewers who missed Bristol, Bryce made the decision in the middle of a race there to stay out on older tyres, got involved in an incident in the front of the field, which unfortunately took out a few drivers. However, Bryce, a much better drive today, a 3rd place finish. Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go and celebrate?
I just want to say congrats to all my other Whitson Motorsports teammates. We finished 5 out of the top 7 tonight, and that's just amazing for us. We're not really a road racing team. We're an oval team, and we really pulled it off tonight.
All right, well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Bryce. We'll see you in a few weeks at Chicagoland.
Thank you, Sam.
So that was Bryce Whitson, our 3rd place finisher in the double O truck. 1 position in front of him in the number 7 truck was Michael Krobach. And Ayrton, you've called up with Michael.
Thanks, Sam. Well, Michael, you here?
Yes, I am.
Well, first off, congratulations. Second place. That's your 4th top 5 this season. How do you feel?
I feel fantastic. I mean, this was the best finish for the number 7 team this year. We joined Whitson Motorsports. Had been running single car for the last about 4 years, and we joined the team this year, and it's the best result.
And it's also a home track for you, so that also must feel good as well. So, how did you? We were talking about strategy earlier before the race happened. And of course, before the race, you know that the caution's going to come out. When were you trying to plan when to go into the pits?
Yeah, we stuck with the same strategy the whole weekend. Me and Brian had planned to pit on lap 17, and we stuck with that, and it worked out pretty well.
And how do you think your pace is going to be heading into Chicagoland in 3 weeks' time?
I think we've turned the corner on the number 7 Mako team. We've been reeling off some pretty solid finishes the last few weeks and gaining some momentum. And so I'm looking forward to Chicago and the rest of the chase. I think this was a good points night, and that's what we're aiming for all week.
So then also a question that we had during the race, which we were kind of discussing among ourselves, is so now that you've come into the chase, you've got all the chase drivers, and there's 12 of them, and then you've got all the drivers, and you've still got some fast drivers that aren't in the chase, such as Justin Fuller. So when you are racing those guys, are you really thinking about the chase? Are you thinking about the wins and positions, or are you only thinking about the chase guys during these races?
I'm focusing on points and being consistent every week. I knew that Justin wasn't in the chase, so I wasn't too concerned about him. My goal this weekend was to get a good points night, and I think we did that.
Well, congrats again on second place, man.
Thanks very much, and hope you'll be speaking to me a little bit more this season.
Yeah, hopefully on in first place position too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, back to you, Sam.
And that was Michael Krobach, our second place finisher. So now let's head over to Victory Lane to interview our race winner, Tommy Ryan. And here he is. Tommy, a couple of laps left to go. I'm sure you didn't think you were going to get the win, but you were able to pull it off. Congratulations.
Yeah, man, I finally got another one in here. You know, it was a year ago at this same track I got to talk to you guys for the first time. And, man, you know how it is. I told you last week, or whoever was interviewing me in here, that it's going to come down to luck and mistakes. And, you know, the top 2 guys had some bad luck and made some mistakes. And you got to be in position to snag it away. And I was able to do that. I wasn't the quickest guy out there, but I was definitely the 3rd quickest because that's where I ran all race. So I knew I could hold my own there, at least get a top 5 as long as I kept it on the asphalt. So, yeah, man, I was blown away when Justin lost connection there. So I'll take it, man.
Now, I mentioned during the broadcast, you seem to be very good at bringing your truck home in one piece and looking like it did when it rolled off of a trailer. Do you have any tricks to be able to do that, and could you share them with me?
Yeah, you know, if you look at the incident limit in the standings, I've got the lowest incident rate in pretty much both series in there. You know, I know when I'm over driving, and I know when I'm, driving over my head when I'm going to wreck it. You know, sometimes you push it to the limit like that, but you can't push it like that all race. And then sometimes, things just happen. But I usually just back it down, a couple clicks off my head there, and just keep it on the asphalt, man. That's all you can really do, and just try to hit your marks.
We head into Chicagoland in 3 weeks' time. I haven't seen the official standings yet, but I'm gathering you're going to be up at the top of the standings, if not in the top position. Is Chicagoland a place where you think you can extend that points lead if you have it?
Yeah, I think I have a shot there. It's like I say, it's just going to come down to having the good luck and not making the mistakes and being there at the end and trying to get that at least a top 3 finish. I think is what it's going to take every week to come out ahead on it. So looking real excited right now. I was hoping I would finish well here, but I didn't think I'd win. But overall, man, just great night.
All right, well, congratulations, Tommy, and thanks for coming to talk to us, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Chicagoland.
Yeah, Tim Ford, let me get a shout out to my sponsors, Northern Tool and Equipment. Black Friday is just around the corner, so you guys keep an eye on the website. We always have some really good deals. And of course, all my associate sponsors, Diet Coke, Nylabone, Petco, Bike Mart, and so on and so on. And of course, you know, everybody's thinking about Justin Wilson's family, so it was a bad deal. So
Yes, absolutely it was. Congratulations once again, Tommy. Go celebrate.
thanks, man. See you guys.
Well, that about wraps it up here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And like we've been mentioning, in 3 weeks we go to Chicagoland. That's one of your favourite tracks.
Yeah, fun and fast. Definitely going to be a good one.
And we look forward to broadcasting it. We would like to thank some people before we hang up tonight, including AMSOIL for sponsoring this series and helping us put on a terrific show tonight. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that help make this stream possible: iRacing.com, Behringer, XSplit, Audio Technica, and Ava Media. Thanks to the team today, Ayrton Ellis and Joe Peak. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A big thanks to Dougie Beard for creating the camera sets that you saw during the stream, and a special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with much of our music. So, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.